Today I'm doing a video on querying our data on Microsoft SQL Server, and oftentimes the challenge I've noticed many persons have is converting questions in word form to queries, and how do they answer these questions when they come in query format. So we're going to have a two-part series, and this is going to be the first one where we'll tackle some questions on a very popular database, the AdventureWorks database, and it's going to cut across most of the basic to intermediate functions that you're going to need in SQL database querying, and even a few of the a bit more advanced stuff, right? So let's go with me. I'm going to be using Azure Data Studio for this project. It allows you to use various languages, various query languages, either Microsoft SQL Server, MySQL, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to be using that for today. So make sure you have your AdventureWorks database. I've already dropped a video on how to load the backup file. So all this in place, and then I can. All right, so we're connected. First off, before we begin, let me show us what the database looks like. All right, and meanwhile, if you are not so familiar with the AdventureWorks database, it contains fact and dimension tables. Fact tables has rows of entries as per transactions and all that, while the dimension tables have the basic information, the main information about each of them. So employee and all the rest, customer, while the real transactions and all the rest are in the fact table. Okay, so total number of employees will be in the dim employee table, dimension employee table. So let me begin by querying that so we can see what the table looks like. Okay, so right here, it has not still recognized the database I'm querying from. So let me connect back and make sure that's in place. I wonder why it didn't work the first time. Okay, so we're good now. All right, so we want to see everything from dim employee, and there are certain advantages why I am using that's causing me to use the Azure Data Studio. As we go through the project, you're going to see it's not as fast as when you're using your SQL Server Management Studio, right? But it has its advantages. So these are the various variables that I have in my dimension employee table, title, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we've seen previous videos how to filter, how to sort, and so on and so forth, right? Now what we want to do is we want to find the total number of employees. We want to see the total number of employees, so we'll be needing a variable that we can use as a primary key column. Okay, variable that we can use as a primary key column, where it's not necessarily that it doesn't have repeated entry. For example, in this case now we have employee key. We have employee key, right? And which is supposed to be the primary key column. But we have certain persons or certain employee repeated, maybe because of their promotion and all that. So what this means is that the employee key is given based on the different roles a person occupies. So if the person occupies 3 roles, is going to have like 3 different employee keys, right? but the parent employee key looks as though it's representing, okay, so let's see, 189, and see here they both represent different persons, but they're having the same. Okay, so it doesn't work for that. Let's see the employee national ID alternate data. So I can see it's repeated for these two, it's repeated for these two. So pretty much I think that works. That works well. Okay, so let's use the employee national ID alternate key. Okay. So, but just in case you want to see the schema of a table, you say exec sp help, and then you give the name of the table in this instance, which is the employee. Okay, it's not case sensitive, so this would tell you more about the schema of the table, the different columns, and their schema, right, and so on and so forth. So there are different things you can find out from that: length of character if it's computed, the data type, and so on and so forth. Identity key, so it's supposed to be employee key, but I've explained to us why we're not going to be using that. Okay, index name, so it's this is trying to tell us the employee, the primary key column, which is still employee key, but we will not be using that. Yeah, so there are other foreign keys that are available in the data, like sales territory, and you have sales territory key for that, parent employee key as another foreign key, and you can use that to get more so it's the information that refers to each employee rather, right? And then I guess that's pretty much it. We know these are primary key and so on and so forth. Okay, is there anything I may want to show us from here again? No. So we see a primary key and two foreign keys. All right, so let's just keep this as an aside. So we want to see something alternates, right? So what's it called? Employee. Okay, so employee national ID alternate key. So we want to see this, and we want to count of that, right? What we're asked is what's the total number of employees first. So let's count this, right? But don't forget it has duplicate values. It has duplicate values because sometimes when the person's name repeated, it appeared more than once. So we are going to tell our SQL Server to count the distinct time that it appears. Okay, so you now have 290 employees. So let's call that employee count. Okay. So we now have our employee count 290. Okay, for our number of customers, let's also select everything from that should be in dim customer table, and once again let's look for the variable we are going to use to count. Okay, and meanwhile for this particular data, I've checked it before, so I'm just trying to save us the time. There is no duplicate data. Okay, each name is represented once, but just to be on the safe side, let's confirm. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to group by first name plus, so let's although it's not okay, let's see, is there something I could use to represent each individual? Let's look at the variable. There's customer alternate key, blah 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 blah. Okay, so nothing really, because people can use multiple phone numbers. But let's just go on with the names, right? I want to group by first name and last name. Okay, and I'm going to filter to say where first name plus last name, which is full name, where first name or last name is greater than 1. Okay, so I'm saying where the count of this is going to give me greater than 1. Are we good? So simply give me whoever appears more than once here. So we are grouping by, so let's see how many times did each of them appear. Let's have this. Okay, so evidently there are persons that are appearing more than once, which makes my previous statement wrong. So let us find a way to count these guys uniquely. All right, so but at least now you know how to check for duplicate data. Yeah. So let's go again. Select from dim customer, and let's look for a variable we can use to pick each person individually. So it means that unique, the customer key, let's confirm, let's also confirm this again, right? Let's confirm using customer key this time. Okay, so let's see, I should have just used that. So this time around we are saying we're going to be grouping by customer key and count of customer key. We are grouping by customer key, and we want to see anytime which customer key appeared greater than 1. Okay, so we can use customer key as a unique identifier. But come to think about it, it then means there are people that bear the same name but having different customer keys. I don't know if that makes sense though. So I don't want to immediately jump into advanced queries, but what I would have done is I could filter my table to give us information only for this list of persons that we have here, so we can confirm that. But let's just go on. Let's use primary customer key as a primary key and then just go on. Okay, so that means what we want to do is, let's see this again. Hope I'm not making this more complex than it should be, at least not at this stage. So if the primary key, if the customer key actually, okay, let's try email address. Right, let's try email address, because we are not expecting multiple persons to have the same email address, right? So let's see what email address does. Okay, so it then means that all there are people that were bearing same name, but they are actually different identities, and we confirm that because we have checked using customer key and the email address. So you can do further investigation on your own, of course. You know how to load the data. You can do further information to actually check if the other information on those names that are similar, if they are the same. Okay, but let's go on. So now we can simply count. Maybe using email address. Okay, and Somebody may be asking, why am I not using a group by statement when I'm using an aggregate function like count directly? And the reason is, when you are using a group by statement, you're trying to perform that aggregate function on a group of items. For instance, you want to count how many customers are married or how many customers are not married. The moment you start having such groupings, then you have to group by, right? Another thing is, the moment you need to show this result by the side of, okay, for you need to show this result for a particular group of items, then you need to group by those items. Okay, so if I execute this, we have about 18,484 customers. So let's call this customer. We've already done a video on aliasing, so some persons would have added as, but there's no issue there. So we now know the number of customers and the number of employees that we have. 290 employees and 18,484 customers. Okay. So let's go to the next question. Next question says, how many customers does the organization have, born on different years, and what are their different ages? How many customers does the organization have, born on different years? So first, we are still looking at the customer table. How many customers does the organization have, born on different years? So we want to see years. Okay, so we can have birth dates. And then from there we can now count. So I told us when I did the video for group by that one hint you can use in knowing when to group by is when you have words like different. Okay, when you have words like different, it then means that you're talking of grouping. You're trying to aggregate based on this group. Now we have birth dates, so to extract the year from it, we're going to say you are going to use the year function. So one of the reasons why I prefer to use the Azure Data Studio is this autocomplete of brackets and setting character. So I want to see the year for every entry. Now if I do this, so you can see what it did there. All right, so initially the first person was born in, so it's a bit slower on my device compared to SQL Management Studio, but 7176. So use the year function to extract the years. And now we want to count. How many times do we have this? Okay, but you're going to be grouping by this. So I'm telling it group by birth date and count how many times you have this birth date. Okay, better still, you can also, let's try this. So it's telling me that in 1950 there were 194 rows of data. 1938 there were 33 rows of data. You understand, right? So it counted how many rows have 1950 as the years from birth dates. Okay, so let's quickly add year, let's say year, birth year, so birth year, let's call this amount. Okay, but then we also want to see their ages. So what we're going to do is, let's do that before the count, right? we want to use the datediff function, the date difference function, datediff function, which calculates the difference between two variables, right? So the first argument you have to specify is what difference do you want to calculate. Okay, so we want to calculate the difference in years, and from birth date to, let's say, today's date. Okay, so till today's date, right? And remember, the get date is another function of its own that has parentheses with it, with no argument in it. Okay, now this will be current age, but if I run this, it will give me an error. And the reason why we're having that error is because this new year function that I just added now is not in an aggregate. It's not with an aggregate function, right? It's not aggregated where I have count here. Okay, so I need to add it to my group by statement as well if I want to also see it there. So let me just show us what I mean. Sorry. So it says blah 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 birth date, which is this function here, is invalid in select list because it is not contained in, you get. Okay, so let's quickly just add this here without the, you're adding it without the alias name. Okay, and then I want to order by amount. Yeah, the beautiful thing about the amount is once you've aliased, order by statement is once you've aliased it, you can use the alias name in the order by statement. Okay, so I want this in descending order. So I now know that we have the most customers born in 1981 and they are 43 years old. Okay. So how many customers does the organization have for different age groups? How many customers does the organization have for different age groups? Okay. So what we are going to be doing here, we are going to group based on the different ages. And what we're first going to do, let's try to see what's the maximum age. Let's see what's the maximum age. We're using max and then taking the year from birth date, right? And let's also see what is our minimum, and we're also taking the year from birth date. Okay, so we're not grouping by anything. I'm supposed to use the datediff function. Sorry. Let me just copy this. Okay. Hope I don't have too many parentheses. Alright, so let's run this and see. So okay, so I have maximum age 108, minimum age 38. So we're just going to do a simple segmentation and group based on different ages. Okay, 108 and 38. Okay, so let's get this out. So let's use the case statement. I want to use the case statement to say that when this, which you calculate the age, right? If this is greater than, let's say, 80, then call the person senior. Alright. Okay, so I'm supposed to start case when this, alright. Otherwise, I want to say when the age is greater than let's say 60, then the person should be called elderly. Also, if not, so we now have remaining 38 and above here. Okay, so let's say from 50. So also when the age is greater than 50, just call the person. So let's just save our time. All right. Let's say these two conditions are already enough. Let's make this 55. So I have two conditions that when datediff, which gives us the age, is greater than 80, call the person senior. When it is greater than 55, I hope nobody gets offended by that, call the person elderly, or let's leave it at 60. Otherwise, so I'm not going to say otherwise, that's else. Just call whoever is left an adult. Alright, so this is going to cover. So when I did a tutorial on segmentation in Microsoft Excel, explain to us why we group like this. Okay, so greater than 80, any value greater than 80 should be this. Now, of course, this does not restrict for errors, but we already have our data stored in our database. Okay, so when I've finished putting my conditions, I can end it and alias it as so let's call it age group. Okay, I hope this absolutely looks not difficult. So you can see we now have adults, yada yada yada. So if you want to see for each of them, so let's say birth dates, right? So let's say birth date. So and let's also say this, just in case you just want to see that, right? So you can see 53 is not up to 60 is adult, 48 is adult. When you have greater than, what is that? When you have greater than 60, you have elderly, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's call this age. Now we want to find out how many customers are in each of these different groups. So basically what we're now going to do is, I have this sorted out. I can still go on to perform what I want to do in this same query, but it's going to maybe be a bit tacky for some of us, because I'm going to put a very long statement in my group by. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to query this query, which is the concept of subquerying. I'm going to query this query. So this is the query that has given me this result, right? That's given me this table. So I want to query this table just like how I query the dim customer table. Okay, so when you are querying a table that exists from a query, you are doing subquerying, right? And it's a simple process. I already have this query that gave me this, so let me just simply give it a name. So let me call it age grouping, or let me say dim age group. So you can give it any name you want to call it. I want to call it dim age group. Now it's not necessarily going to exist in your table. Okay, it's only going to be here in this script. Now I can go ahead and query this dim age group, which the way we usually do. Select everything from dim age group. Does that make sense? So just like how I had select everything from dim employee, dim customer, now I have select everything from dim age group, which is this query that we have here. Okay, but what I want is not the entire table. I just want the age group and the count of everything. Okay, and because I'm doing this, I would have to group by. You understand the concept again? So we want to see for each of the age group, how many do we have, right? Remember, each and different helps you to do group by. Okay, you want you to do aggregation segmentation. So I'm going to group by age group. Okay, so select age group and its count from the query that gave us dim age group and group by dim age group. Okay, so let me order by count. Let me order by count in descending order. Let me call this amount. Okay. All right, so we have mostly adults, which are between the ages of 0, or our minimum was 38 to 60. Those are the major customer base. All right, one of the advantages of using Azure Data Studio is because in your result sheet you can also filter. You see, you can also filter. It comes into play once or twice when you're trying to do something. You can also sort. So I can sort in descending order. Now the reason why it's in ascending order. The reason why I chose this is just sometimes I don't want to stress myself with the order by and so on and so forth. And there's also a way for you to build certain charts, right? So we're not really doing that right now, but okay, it's not even allowing me to see everything. Maybe based on settings, or okay, because I zoomed out, I guess. All right, so you can see amount and all that, and it was also trying to do for age group. But okay, you can change the kind of chart you are using. So let's say horizontal bar, so it can also help you to draw out insights. So let's come back. Okay, I'm not doing ads for Azure Data Studio. And how do you get it? Okay, so how do you get Azure Data Studio? It's very simple. If you're installing your SQL Server Management Studio, most likely it comes with a package. So you can find it here and you can simply just open it, and that's it. Okay, so our next question is, which region does the organization have the most customers? Okay, so customers, we're still going back to our dim customer table. So we want to see which region does the organization have the most customers. Now, what we'll be looking for is what variable tells us about their region. What variable tells us about their region? And you can see geography key is staring us right in the face. And remember this query we had here. Let's run it for dim customer. So I want to plead that if you're still watching the video, if you watched up to this point, please do well to drop a like and subscribe, and also share my content. It's gonna help me and encourage me a long way. So I have my geography key. So we are concentrating more on geography key. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, so foreign key, dim geography, you have geography key. So if we want information, we can get information for our geography key from dim geography, which is another table that we have here. So simply while I have that there, let's also see everything from dim geography. And you know how to comment out. Ctrl K, Ctrl C to comment out. So let's see this. So geography key gives us information on the city, information on the name. So it's called English country region name, on the state province name. Okay, sales territory key. So because we need information from both tables, I have geography key, which is a primary key in the dim geography table, but a secondary key in my dim customer table. And I want to find out how many customers do I have for the different geographies that are available. I'm going to be joining information from both tables. Are we good? I'm going to be doing something like this. So select, I can go on first, select from dim customer, right? And I want you to inner join. So with inner join, I'm saying only bring values that are common to both dim customer and dim geography. Now we can also alias our table names. So I can alias this as A and alias this as B. Course, for you to join, you need to specify on what variable are you joining them on, what variable is common to both of them. All right, so I have dim customer available in, I have geography key available in dim customer. So I'm going to say dim customer, I'm going to say dim customer dot geography key is the same as dim geography dot geography key. So I'm literally telling it that look, that the geography key you have in dim customer is related to the geography key you have in dim geography. Okay, now we could make this easier by using the alias. So instead of dim customer, I'm going to say A, and instead of dim geography, I'm going to say B. So it's going to get information on geography key, information from geography key on both tables. All right. So what I want to do is I want to just show how these things work first. So we have A dot A. Remember, A is our dim customer table. A dot geography key. Right, remember, I want to see which regions of the organization have the most customers. Okay, and I could have just used geography key alone. So just hold on and see what I want to do. Okay, and if I do count of A dot geography key, and of course group by A dot geography key, so it gives me the count for each of them. So geography key 32 has 104, customers, right? Since we are certain that we don't have duplicates in that table, okay, remember that's one thing. Otherwise, if they had duplicates, you need to distinct. So let's just use asterisk here. All right, but the reason why I joined, so what I've done so far, right, in my select statement, only required information from table A. Now, the reason why we are joining it to table B is because we want to involve the name of these regions rather than their key, because this doesn't make so much sense to us right now. Okay, so customer account. The reason it's showing is because I've used this somewhere up above. Now, I said we have the geography key, but we don't have the names of this geography key, right, in the dim customer, but we have them in dim geography. So using the geography key in dim customer, relating it to the geography key in dim geography, we can now collect the corresponding name in dim geography down to what we're doing. Let me explain. So I'm running both of them. Okay, so for those of us that understood, kudos, right? I'm doing this to just make sure every person understands. Now, geography key 22, okay? Geography key 22 also appears in this other table that we have here. But the only problem is that in this other table, we don't have the name, we don't have the province, we don't have the city. So that's what we want to do. So we are going to tell SQL Server that, or we're going to tell query our database and tell it that you see this 22 here and this 22 that's also here, that they are the same. So wherever you see 22 in geography key in this table, we want to now collect the city, the province name, and the country region name. Okay, so that's what we mean by we're joining information from these two tables. So I don't want to use geography key anymore. What I want to use now is, so now also the reason why we had to specify a.geography key and b.geography key is because geography key is available in both tables. So if I specify only geography key, you can see an error coming up here, ambiguous column name geography key, because it appears twice. So when I did a dot, it understood. Now we're saying that what we want is the region name. So I have English country region name, and if we run this now, okay, so I grouped by this, so I need to change my group by statement to English country region name. Okay, so this now tells me in what country or what region do we have the most customers. Okay, so we can do that and also say what was the other variable that was there? Was it region, or there's something about, let me just confirm quickly. Okay, state province name. So let's also see state province name, and we also want to see it here. So this is one of the key things you need to remember about your group by, is that the moment something is not a numerical variable or anything that must exist in your select statement must either or be already existing in your group by statement, or it must exist in an aggregate function in your select statement. Otherwise it will give you an error. So the reason why this works is because it's in a aggregate command. The reason why this will work is because it's existing in the group by statement. If it is not there, it will flag up an error. Okay, so we want to see this, and we want to see the most. So let's order by customer count, and let's say we want to see the top 10. So we want to see the top 10. Okay, I need to send something out. Alright, so the top 10 regions and the different provinces where they exist, where we have the most customers, have here now. Okay, so you can go on. Maybe in a subsequent video I'll show us how to use visuals here. Okay, and then how do you tweak them to show you based on how you want. All right, anyway, let's just go on. So now we have seen the regions with the most customers, so we've answered that question, and let's go on. All right, question 5. So we spent quite a ton of time on this video. Okay, let's see. We'll soon be done. Let's just answer these two questions. So we've covered quite a lot. So in the second series, we may not explain so much. All right, how many items in each subcategory are on sale, and the averages of weight, list price, and dealer price, excluding nulls. So how many items? We'll be looking at the product table, the product, and we have product subcategory key, we have the product name, we have the list price. So we're seeing list price, we are seeing weights, and we are seeing dealer price. Okay, but it is, remember what's asked here is not the product itself but the subcategory. So once again, let's do to see product. So it wouldn't suggest for you here product. So well, I'm not sure. Let's see if this can work. Product subcategory. Okay, thought it was going to suggest if it wasn't quoted. All right, so another reason why I like Azure Data Studio, very simple. I can just do that around that. Oh, wrong table. Wrong table. Wrong. Dim product. Happens to the best of us. Okay. So wow, it seems to have quite a lot of information. So let's go down. Constraint type, you have a foreign key, dim product subcategory, and it's in product subcategory. So subcategory key can be linked to dim product subcategory. So let's have that. Select all from dim product subcategory. Okay, so we have subcategory, and now we've learned how to join, right? We've learned how to join, and so we can get the subcategory names. So I'm going to just skip a thing or two. So I'm going to inner join with dim product subcategory, call this A, and call this B, and then we specify what we're joining them on. So we're joining them on product subcategory, key. Okay, and we want to see the name. So the name simply here is English product subcategory name, which is available in dim product subcategory. But the question says we should find out the average weight, the average list price, and the average dealer price. Okay. Or group by, pardon me. And we are going to group by. We're going to group by English products. Okay. So we have certain of them that we're having nulls for the weight. We're having nulls for the weight. So let's call this average weight, average list price, just so that I don't have so much of this. And okay, I say I also want this to be, and I want to call this average dealer. Okay. So they said excluding the null, so I'm thinking Because if I exclude the nulls, I'm going to lose quite a lot of them here, but I guess that's what they asked. Okay, let's see. Where weights is not null. Okay, so where weight is not null. Let's see how this helps us. Okay, fine. So we did lose quite a couple of them, but they said excluding nulls. Okay, so they said excluding null. So we have the average weight, we have the average list price, we have the average dealer price. So in case you still want to see for those items that had nulls, you know what to do. Okay, you can just comment out this statement and run that. Okay, let's answer our final questions, which is very similar to the other one. Only that this time around, they are not asking for subcategory, but they are asking for category. They're asking for categories. So I'm just going to copy this. And the reason why I'm going to do this quite simply is that let's see the subcategory table. Okay, so let's see everything from dim subcategory. So you can see product subcategory and you can see product category. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to join the product. So let's see product category table. Let's see the product category. So you have product category key, which is what connects product category and product subcategory, and then we have the categories in themselves. Okay, so inner join, the first inner join we did was between product and product subcategory because of the subcategory key. Now we're going to inner join again to dim products category. Alright, and let's call this table C, and we're going to join on B, which is table B, product subcategory, dim product subcategory, B dot product category key is the same as C dot product category key. So we've now added a third layer of information, and we are now not grouping by English product subcategory name but English product category name. So we're not dealing with sub anymore, which means this is what we'll be having. And okay, so we now have for the two excluding nulls. So just in case you are not certain, you can do that. Okay, so maybe these items don't have so much that they dealt with null as that. I'm just seeing something. It said how many items. So we're supposed to have counts. We're supposed to have counts as well. Okay, how many items in each subcategory are on sale and the average is of weight. Oh, please pardon me. So quickly, let's say count, and of course everything. Let's say item count. Ouch, completely forgot about that. Okay, and let's have the same here. Okay, so Now you have the item count, the average weight, average list price, and the average dealer price. Okay. So I hope this video helped us. We've learned several things, ranging from how to count, how to use the halving statement, how to check the schema of your table. We've also learned how to use the case statements, inner join, how to join, and perform the aggregation. Right? So in the second part of this series, we are going to do a bit more advanced querying, and I'll see you in the next video.